So welcome everyone to this week's Survive and Thrive session. If everyone would go ahead and type in the chat box, your name, your company name, and where you're joining us from so that everyone has an opportunity to know who you are. And Gunta, I did see your message there. Thank you. Sorry to hear you're not able to join us with your camera or mic, but we will talk to you through the chat line. So thank you for updating us on there. Let me jump into this week's agenda. Normally, right, we've been having these sessions with a guest speaker, and we've been doing them from 1 to 2:30. This week, I have a conference this afternoon, so I've shifted the time to the morning, and I thought we would just simply have an opportunity for different business leaders to have more of an open mic conversation as opposed to having a guest panel. So I'm going to jump in here and just do a little bit of the background and remind you of who Action Coach is. So I am a local franchise owner of Action Coach. My home office is here in Noblesville, and I serve the Indiana area mostly from a standpoint of marketing within Indiana, but I am able to work with clients outside of the state if they come to me through a referral partner. Action Coach Business Coaching is the world's #1 business coaching firm. Brad Sugars is the owner and founder, and he started the company 26 years ago. They're the first business coaching company to come into the world. Started in Australia, and now their corporate office is in Las Vegas. What I love about our vision is world abundance through business re-education. And the thinking here is there are a lot of businesses that aren't run well. And it's no fault to the business owner. It's just that, folks don't know, best practices of running a business. So the nice thing about our vision is for those folks who are willing to take the time to learn and grow and develop as business leaders, we really believe that the sky's the limit. There's a way to significantly differentiate yourself from your competitors by implementing best practices that it really differentiates you and allows you to be significantly above your competitors. Therefore, that idea of world abundance. There's enough business out there for everybody if we go about it in the right way. As I mentioned, we are the #1 business coaching firm in the world. We coach over 15,000 businesses a week, and we've got about 1,000 offices in over 80 countries. Our whole philosophy is to create a successful business, and that's one that's defined as a commercial profitable enterprise that can work without the business owner. Right? Most folks who get into business for themselves have really just bought themselves a job. And what I mean by that is they went from being employed by someone else to simply being self-employed. And the challenge with that is if you're only self-employed, it means that you're the only reason that your business is working. It means that you have to come to work every day in order for the business to continue to operate. And if something was to happen to you, the business owner, then the business won't work and you'll end up losing your lifestyle. So what we teach at Action Coach is climbing up the entrepreneurial ladder. So going from business owner going from self-employed to being a manager where you've got people working for you and being able to take over some of the day-to-day, going up to business owner where you've got the company to a place where it's able to run without you. So we have this model. It's called the 6 Steps to Building a Better Business. And the idea is best practices, implementing these best practices in your organization so that you can climb up that entrepreneurial ladder. So we start at the mastery level, right? That's all about eliminating the day-to-day chaos in your organization and really becoming a master at running your business as opposed to just being a master at your art or your craft or your trade. Second step is niche, and that's all about marketing and sales processes and procedures so that you can create a predictable cash flow in your business. Leverage is all about systems. to make your operation run more efficiently and effectively. And team is setting your business up for growth, to be able to scale the organization by having people run the day-to-day as opposed to you, the business owner, running the day-to-day, which ultimately gets you to this level of synergy where the systems and the team are in place. So you've got a well-oiled machine. You can pull back from the day-to-day and have the business run without you. And ultimately, you're working towards your end result. Whatever it is that you've decided you want your business to look like when it's finished, that step 6 there is achieving that result. Okay. So today's agenda is similar to past weeks. I'm going to open here with a little mindset teaching, and then we're going to open it up to the folks on the line to ask questions, share best practices. I've got some offers at the end, and then talk about next week and beyond. Okay. So the mindset lesson today is to think about the fact that life is a mirror. So if there are things happening in your business or in your life in general that you aren't happy with, think about what it is that you're doing to cause that reaction or that situation. So you might remember me doing the little blame exercise. So, most times, right, it becomes very easy to say, hey, well, that's not my fault. That's out of my control. And we can point fingers at other people, right? The fun thing about pointing a finger, and go ahead and do it just for illustrative purposes, right? Now, look at your hand and how many fingers are pointing back at yourself, right? So in all those situations where you're wanting to blame someone else, think about those 3 fingers pointing back at yourself, and really dig in and question what things can you change to change that situation. Right? So just like life is a mirror, so are the mirrors are also, right, the reactions that you're getting from people, right? The current situation of your bank account, right? The current situation of your business or your salary or your relationships, right? These are all reflections on you, right? And the way that you are running your life or the way that you are running your business. And so you might also remember I've talked about in the past the formula for change, and that is your dissatisfaction with your current situation, as well as an idea of what a better tomorrow could look like, and an understanding of your first steps. Those all need to be greater than your resistance to change. And so if you're not happy with your current situation and you're starting to see things like on this list that aren't where you want them to be, the first person to start with is yourself, right? And really dig into that so that you're creating enough dissatisfaction with your current situation that you're willing to do whatever it takes to get to a better situation and overcome your natural tendency to resist change and to prefer the status quo. All right, so at this point, I want to just open the floor to folks to ask questions, to share challenges that they're going through, to share best practices that they have. Let's just have an open conversation and create some community here, and just help each other to navigate through all this crazy world that we're all going through. Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
So one of the things, it was entertainment, but I took something out of it. Did all of you happen to see the Last Dance show with Michael Jordan on ESPN the last few weeks?
I have not watched it, but I've read a bunch about it.
So, he came off, I guess you could look at it a negative, but boy, Michael Jordan obviously was a great player, but it was his drive to improve everybody around him that made him so great. I think there have been a lot of other great players, but what he did to improve himself and improve the team, my takeaway from that whole show was, man, if I can do a fraction of that in my own life and my own business, and then for my customers, wow, that's success. And that's how Michael Jordan, because it was a team sport. So he had a lot on his shoulders, but bringing everybody else into the fold was just super powerful. So anyway, it was just a neat analogy of how I want to do things and change how I'm looking at my situation and can make my business and my team better. So sort of a cool thing if you get a chance to see it.
That's wonderful. It makes me think of, I'm currently reading Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. And my key takeaway from that has been everything that we want out of life is within us to get there. One of the things he talks about is just how incredibly powerful our brain is. He said to use a computer to get to the same processing power that our brain has is something like requiring 2 high-rise buildings full of processors. And so his point was, if we spend the time training our brain to focus on the things that are most important, and then also get ourselves out of the way, right? Meaning, stop giving ourselves excuses, stop giving ourselves, doubts and fears, and stop talking ourselves out of the ability to achieve that. Really, everything is possible if we just set our mind to it. And he shares a number of stories about himself and the things that he's overcome. And so I'm only a little ways into the book so far, but it's been really inspiring. And it ties into a lot about what we teach as well, is, have a plan and take action and get your mindset in the right place. I've talked in the past about the idea of the way that you spend the first 59 minutes of your day is going to dictate how your day will go. Right? So if we spend the first 59 minutes setting ourselves up for success, right? Reminding ourselves of what our goals are, reminding ourselves that we are successful, that we are, on fire, that we are going to hit it out of the park, then our subconscious doesn't know reality. It only knows what we tell it. So if we have a constant internal negative self-talk, then we're not going to be successful because we're telling ourselves that we're not going to be successful, right? Versus if we're programming our subconscious every day to say that we're going to be, incredibly successful, then that's all it knows. And it's looking for ways throughout the day to make that happen. There's also the law of attraction, right? We're going to attract whatever it is that we're putting out into the universe, right? So if we're putting out positive vibes, and if we're putting out success that we're looking for, right? If we're very clearly defining who our ideal clients are or our ideal customers are, then that's what we're going to attract. So if you're not currently doing some type of daily ritual to set your RAS, and as a reminder, RAS is your reticular activating system, right? That's the part of your brain that controls your subconscious. So if you don't have some type of routine like that, highly encourage you guys to do it. So in my wallet, I carry around my I am statements. Right? And so that's my positive affirmations that I do in the morning. And then if I have to throughout the day, right, if I find myself, getting discouraged or getting demotivated, I'll go back to that and remind myself, who I am, right? That, I am successful. I am making a difference in business owners' lives, right? I am helping business owners achieve massive results. As well, here in my home office, on my bulletin board here in front of me, I've got what my monthly goals are. Right? So it's a constant reminder of what I'm working towards, and I've got a list of prospects, right, that are in my marketing and sales funnel that I'm going after, so that when I close them, I can put a check mark. So it gives that positive momentum, right? If you can visually see your successes, right, it encourages you to and gets you excited about continuing to work harder. So Gary, thank you for sharing that illustration. Any other comments from the group? Either go live or write it into the chat box, and we can respond to it.
Well, this is Cecilia Whitfield. There's a movie that I have always enjoyed watching, and it is called It's a Wonderful Life. Sometimes when we have hard times in life, we may ask ourselves the question, well, I have asked myself the question, let me change it that way. I have asked myself the question, why me? Why was it that I was allowed to have a son, to get in trouble, go to prison, get on drugs? Why me back in 1988, when people were so quick to blame and point the finger, why me? So one day I saw the movie, It's a Wonderful Life. And then because of my problems and what I have been allowed to go through, I started the shuttle service for other families with loved ones who are incarcerated. And we started this and using our own vehicle in 1988. And then we became a 501c3, and we're still here. So there's times when we go through some pains and disappointments. There may be a reason why we are still the only shuttle service that take families to 16 different prisons all over the state of Indiana. We also have an annual Christmas party for the children, and we've done that for 20 years. And we do a women's retreat. We take our hurting the mothers and grandmothers who are not able to take trips and vacations because a lot of them are they're undereducated, low income, on SSI. Some of them are on disabilities. So they're not able to do things that other people are able to do. So then I've turned the question around, why not me? So because of this service, I've seen a lot of people's lives change, including their loved ones who have been incarcerated, because they were able to touch and get a hug from their mother or their grandmother to be there. And if the families didn't have the money, we still took them. So it's also been a faith walk. And Tim, I have to agree with you, the first 59 minutes of first thing in the morning, I don't know about you guys, but I read my Bible because I realize I can't do anything by myself. I'm just a mother who had a vision and has stepped out to do it. So every morning, that's what I do. And there, I do have a sheet that talks about I am. So thank you. And thank you, Tim, for allowing us to continue to learn more about business, because it was a ministry for me because my dad was a pastor. So everything is ministry for me. But anyway, thank you. And I am learning, and thank you for allowing me to be part of this great group. Thank you.
Cecilia, it's a pleasure to have you, and thank you so much for sharing. I agree with your thoughts there, is that, I like how you changed it from why me to why not me. And what really touched me is, 20 years after the fact, you're still the only one doing this. So if you didn't step out in faith, right, if you didn't take that risk to create this opportunity, there are hundreds of people who would have missed out on the blessing that your ministry provides. And so thank you for providing that, and continuing to provide it. And I know, based on some of the things you've shared on here in the past, right, it's certainly been a struggle, and you've certainly been tested. So I appreciate you staying focused on that vision and continuing to fight for what you believe is the right thing to do. And I think that's a great lesson for all of us as business leaders, right? Business is hard, right?
Yes.
Especially right now, it's even more hard with all that's going on with the economy shut down. And Gary was sharing earlier that Michigan's still in a lockdown, right? And don't even know yet when they're going to start opening back up. So it's definitely a stressful time, and having a significant financial impact on millions of people. And we have that daily choice, right? We have the choice of, I'm either going to be a victim and powerless, right? Or I'm going to choose to be powerful and a victor, right? And I'm going to choose every day to do whatever it takes to be successful.
Right.
And that, whatever that means, right? Right now, it might mean I have to make, 100 calls a day, right? And have, 99 voicemails so that I can get that one person who actually talks to me. And right. And you just never know, who it is that you're going to connect with that's going to be your next client, right? Or your next customer or your next sale. And so if we allow ourselves to say, well, there's nothing I can do right now because the economy shut down and nobody's buying, then that's exactly what we're going to get, because that's what we've told ourselves, right? Versus if every morning we say, I'm going to be successful today, and here's what success looks like, we're going to have a much higher probability of success. And so again, Cecilia, thank you for sharing. I can only imagine how many people's lives you've touched through your ministry, and just a blessing that you were willing to step out in faith and provide that service that was lacking in the community. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
So what about some best practices or key wins that folks have had? Anything that you guys would like to share that's been going on during this time? Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Well, there again, the business situation is a little bit strained right now. There are some people that maybe don't know quite what to do, and so are maybe holding off on some decisions. So to your point of, let's make lemonade. And so just in the last couple days, I've connected with other, I guess, influencers that have the right mindset. So I've made a conscious decision too to surround myself with the people that are like-minded. And so if they have that positive attitude and they're continuing to move things forward, those are the people that I want to be associated with, and hopefully I can help them to continue to have that right attitude. And if they help me, it's almost a snowball going downhill between me helping them and them helping me, and we help the next guy, and all of a sudden we're going to be a force. And I think I told you last week that things were a little bit slow. Well, this week the snowball's rolling, and in and of itself, were there sales? Well, a sale isn't necessarily just signing the dotted line and a buck. Sometimes the sale is many processes along the way. And so these people that I've connected with that are part of that influencer group is all part of the plan to move to the next step. So it's a matter of how you look at things, and this has been a great week. Not a great sales week per se, but a great sales week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like what you talked about in terms of it's not the sale, it's the process, right? So we teach that idea as well. So your marketing and your sales activities, or your combined business development activities, isn't about going from initial call to close. It's about getting people to go to the next step, right? And for you also to know and to qualify people to even determine if it makes sense to take them to the next step, right? So what you were saying resonated in terms of, hey, if we have a phone call with someone, right, the goal isn't to make the sale. The goal is to understand if they're even a qualified prospect, and if they are a qualified prospect, right, to get them to move to the next step in the marketing and sales funnel process. And so I think the mistake many of us can make is trying to skip steps. And if we think back to the whole idea of we only work with people that we know, like, and trust, if we cold call someone and we say, are you ready to buy from me? Right? That is never going to work, right? Versus if we reach out and say, hey, I'm just reaching out to, so in my world, I'm just reaching out to fellow business owners to check in to see how things are going, right? I know we're all going through a crazy time, and just wondering how you're doing, right? That's building that relationship, right? That's building that trust. It's building an interest in continuing to have a dialogue. And I, like Gary, have had a pretty fun week as well, with a number of forward progress being made, and I can look back now and see that seeds that I've planted, over the last number of months. Right? So as an example, I had someone who came to a seminar that I had back in February, right? and seemed to have dropped off, right, off of the radar. And I tried multiple times to reach out to them, and then just out of the blue, they responded to one of my emails and said, I'm ready. Right? So we just never know, right? The whole idea of one of the things that we teach is marketing's, the whole business development process is when marketing meets need, right? And so I could send the exact same communication to somebody today, and in their mind, they're not ready. And so it's not meaningful to them at all. But I send it to them tomorrow, and it's exactly what they're looking for tomorrow. And they respond back and say, yes, I'm ready. So I think the more that we can think about this being a longer term game, right, with respect to, and we just never know where people are at and when they're going to be ready. And so building that relationship, building that rapport, right, continuing to nurture those relationships and reach out. And I think the other thing that has become much more highlighted during this time is adding value, right? And serving others, and starting with the what can I do for you versus what can you do for me, right? And that helps to facilitate that trust and that respect, and has people more open to, oh, okay, well, I see that, Gary, I'll just use your name for illustrative purposes. I see that Gary actually really cares about me as a person and about my business, and he hasn't been a pushy salesperson, right? He's not focused on closing the deal. He's really focused on what's in the best interest of me and my business. That's somebody that I want to keep in my network. I may not be ready for what he has to offer right now, but he's definitely somebody that I want to continue to build a relationship with. So, Gary, thanks for sharing.
Well, and don't you find too, it's like dating. If you dated somebody and you married them on the first date, it might work out. But boy, if you build that relationship and it's strong, it's the same in sales. I just think that it's way more rewarding, and there's more understanding over time, and it's way deeper. And I think that's what we all strive for. And then it'll be a more rewarding relationship. Even though it's a business relationship, doesn't mean it can't be a rewarding relationship in that regard as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I see Gunta here put a comment in the chat box. So earlier this week, I did an interview with Ted and Max, a couple of their interns. So I've been offering to interview local businesses to give an opportunity to shout out for them, to give them some recognition in the marketplace. And so I had the privilege of interviewing them earlier this week. So she's put a post about that, and I'm happy to see that it was encouraging for them and had them thinking about their business in a different way. I'd also like to offer to you guys to go through my complimentary coaching session. It's a business strategy session, and what that entails is doing a deep dive into your business. And this is a free service that I provide. So it's a deep dive into your business. It's a 2-hour meeting where we look at where you are today, right, and versus where you want your business to go in the future. What are your longer term goals and vision for your business? Then we also look at what are the challenges that you've been facing? What are some of the hurdles and roadblocks that you've had to getting to your business goals? We'll then explore some opportunities within your business and different strategies that you could apply. And then we'll use the lens of the 2 action coach models, the 6 steps to building a better business and 5 ways to massive growth. And we look at your business through our models to show how the things that we do through coaching could impact your business, and also what the financial impact of that could be over a 12-month period of working together. And what that does is it really opens up the business to the possibilities of, wow, I didn't realize, right, that type of growth was possible by just implementing some best practices and some strategies. And then the ultimate goal is to help the business decide of, hey, is coaching something that makes sense for me? And if so, what is the right program for me based on this 2-hour meeting? And it's like these meetings, right? It's not a high pressure sales pitch. It's not a sales pitch at all. It's a coaching you through making a decision on learning what coaching is and seeing what the impact can be to your business, and making a decision on whether coaching is right for you. And if you decide that it's not, that's perfectly okay, right? Because that's just part of the sales, the marketing and sales process that I talked about earlier, right? Just helping people better understand if this is a service that they would benefit from. Regardless, you'll walk away with some strategies that you can apply to your business right away based on investing that 2 hours with me. And like Gunta said in her post, right, that I've found with everybody I've done this with is they walk away, whether they decide to hire me or not, they walk away energized and have a different perspective on their business and see opportunities to take their business to the next level that they weren't aware of ahead of time. So this is something I offer to everyone. I'm generally booked out with these 2 or 3 weeks out. And so if it's something that you guys are interested in, please let me know and we can get you on the schedule. So again, really excited to see that interview energized Ted and Max, and looks like they're studying for their bar exam right now. So wish them the best of luck, and looks like they're going to be returning at the end of June. And so good luck, Ted and Max, if you happen to be listening to this. And again, Gunta, thank you for sharing. And please pass along. I think the owner's name is Ron. Please pass along this offer to Ron. I'd love to come in and take you guys through this complimentary coaching strategy session. Any other key wins or best practices, or just anything positive that folks would like to share? Okay, so let's shift then to challenges. What's been your main challenge over the last couple of weeks that you'd like to throw it on the table and maybe we can talk through? No challenges. Wow, you guys are all perfect. Well, one of the challenges I've had is as stuff has started to pick back up, I'm finding that it's been a big challenge to juggle everything on my plate. Right? So during this downtime, I've implemented a number of new marketing strategies. And so the interviews, the business spotlight interview is one that I mentioned. Doing these webinars is another one that I've started during the last 8 or 9 weeks, along with the other activities that I've always been doing, as well as I've been bringing on new clients. So now I'm really starting to feel, it's all a good thing, right? The momentum and the progress is great, but I'm starting to feel that I don't have time to do everything that I want as well as I'd like. And so one of the things that we coach our clients on is about 50% of your time should be focused on business development, and 50% of your time should be focused on taking care of existing clients. Now, if you're not at the point where you have enough clients to take up 50% of your time, then you spend all of that time doing business development. However, what generally happens, and this is the big caution to folks, is as we build momentum and we get more clients, and if it ends up being more than 50%, a lot of folks make the mistake of just taking care of their clients and reducing the amount of business development activities that they do. So let me play that out longer term. So what happens if, right, not all clients are forever clients, right? So what happens if that contract is finished, right, and you've stopped doing your business development? Now all of a sudden you've got a gap in your revenue. And as we all know, like we were talking about earlier, it takes time to plant those seeds, and it takes time to nurture those relationships and bring people through our marketing and sales funnel to the point that they're ready to buy. So if we shift all of our attention to taking care of our existing clients or customers, then at some point in time, we're not going to have any business, or our business is going to be significantly reduced, and then we're going to be in panic mode. So when you start getting too busy to do your business development activities, you have to think about, and you should be pre-thinking about, what do you do? Okay. So might you have to hire somebody, right, to help you with your business development activities? Might you have to hire somebody to take care of the customers or the clients that you're bringing on board? Right? Might you have to outsource some activities so that you free up your time and allow yourself to continue to operate in that 50% world? Seen too many people who shift to, well, all of that activity's worked and I'm busy now, and so I'm just going to take care of my clients, and then 3 or 4 months later it's like, I'm not busy anymore, and now I'm in panic mode. Go ahead, Gary.
Sorry about that. Along those same lines, it's really easy for me to look at the big fish and want to go after that, and realizing that sales cycle is, on the bigger fish, it can be a longer sales cycle. And that can get frustrating because maybe it's not, the dollars aren't coming to fruition. And so, that'll be great when it happens. But if I lose sight of the smaller guys, I lose some wins, some quicker, easier, small dollar wins, but those are rewarding as well. And so sometimes it's important to realize that small isn't necessarily diminished. It might be as important, because I need to have that affirmation of a sale of somebody that I'm helping, between when I start with a big customer and when I close with them. if I've got more wins in between, that keeps the fuel going.
Yes. Yes.
So, anyway, I think a lot of salespeople only work on the big, and they fail because sometimes it takes years to get those to come to fruition.
Yeah. I liked your snowball analogy earlier, right? The more momentum that we can create, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because now our own confidence increases, right? And when we're confident, we come across confident, and coming across confident closes more deals because people can feel that, right? If we're unconfident and desperate, we come across desperate, and people don't want to work with desperate people, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah, the more I call them base hits as opposed to home runs, right? The more base hits we can have, and base hits don't have to be a closed deal either, right? As we were talking about earlier, base hits could be moving someone to the next step, right? So we make a cold call and they agree to have a 15-minute conversation with us, right? That's great. Let's celebrate that, right? A couple weeks back, I talked about celebrating daily wins, right? And that the essence of that is what you were saying, Gary, is how do we just make sure that we're fueling our momentum and fueling our confidence and fueling that energy of we're moving the business forward. So how many seeds are we planting on a weekly basis, right? Not all of them are going to sprout, but when one does sprout, it's pretty fun, right? So I just planted our vegetable garden last weekend, and it's a great analogy to the business development process, right? Some of those seeds are not going to come up, or they might come up and a bird's going to eat it, or some other animal's going to eat it. But the ones that do come up, right, they're gonna flourish, and they're gonna have the fruits of the labor. So marketing and sales is all a numbers game, right? And so if you don't know your numbers, then it becomes I heard this earlier, right? Then it becomes just a game of hope. Okay? And what I mean by that is when you know your numbers, then you start to know things like, oh, I need to make 20 calls in order to get one appointment. Okay, so then how many appointments do I want? That dictates how many calls you need to make. But if you don't know what your percentage is of getting appointments, then you have no idea how many calls you need to make. And then it becomes very frustrating making calls because you're getting a lot of voicemails or no thank yous, right? And that can be very discouraging. But if you know that you have to make 20 calls to get one appointment, then now it's just, hey, how quickly can I make 20 calls, right? Because I need 5 appointments, so I need to make 100 calls. So how quickly this week can I make 100 dials? Putting it that way takes away from it being a frustrating exercise. And it goes well beyond calls, right? How many direct mails do I make? What are my numbers on direct mail that I send? What are my numbers on emails that I send, right? If you don't know your numbers, then marketing is just a waste of money. Okay? What I mean by that is there's a terminology in the accounting world that marketing is an expense, okay? And it definitely is on your on your accounting documents. And unfortunately, it also is reality in 80% of the time in real life, right? 80% of marketing fails. But the reason that 80% of marketing fails is because the approach that's being taken is more of a throw things against the wall and see what sticks. So what we do with clients is make sure that every marketing activity that they're running has the ability to be tracked so that you know how much you're spending and what the results are of that spend so that you can determine if there's a return on investment. And so if you can't track it, I would highly suggest that you don't do it. Especially if you're a small or medium-sized business, right? Every dollar counts. So why would you want to just throw out a handful of bills out the front door and let the wind blow it away. Right? So again, if you can't track it, why spend it? We turn marketing from an expense into an investment because we know what the return on investment is for each marketing dollar that we spend, and the activities that aren't working, we go through an exercise of optimizing them. And if the optimization doesn't work, then we stop doing them and we spend more money on the activities that are working. So then it comes back to this numbers game. Right? It's like, all right, how many leads do I need this month? Great. Let's say it's 10. Wonderful. Now we go back to our marketing tracker and we say, how much money do I need to spend in these different activities to generate 10 leads? Because I know how many leads each of these activities generate. Great. Now let's execute. And if you need to have, and because now marketing is an investment and there's a return on every dollar that you spend, right? Now it just becomes a numbers game. It's like, great, how much do I want to grow? How many more leads do I want this month versus last? I want twice as many, then I spend, I just increase more of my marketing spend. Now, all of what I just explained is a lot harder than it sounds when I just explain it, because there's no silver bullet, right? There's no one marketing activity is going to work all the time for everybody. So we actually recommend that you have 10 different marketing strategies going on at all times so that they each represent about 10% of your leads. That way, if an activity that worked well this month fails next month because of whatever unknown reason, right? We haven't put all of our eggs in one basket, and we're not, we're not screwed because that marketing activity didn't work. Right? So that marketing activity didn't work. It's only 10% of our expectations instead of 100%. Okay? And the other thing is, like I said, not something that works well may not always work well. So we want to always have, a couple of new marketing activities that we're testing and measuring to determine if they are going to work or not. And so that as things maybe start to not work, we've always got things that we can insert in and replace. But again, it all comes down to numbers. I'd say about 90% or more of the clients or prospects that I've talked to don't track their marketing or sales activities, right? And so they're doing more of that hope strategy. It's incredibly eye-opening when we go through that complimentary coaching session that I talked about earlier, and one part of that activity is asking folks to provide me the 5 ways number. So that is, how many leads did you get last year? What's your conversion rate on your leads? Therefore, how many new customers did you get? Right? Most people know how many customers they have, but they don't know their leads and they don't know their conversion rate. Right? What's your average number of transactions? So that's a measure of repeat business. So how many times do customers buy from you on average throughout a year? What's the average dollar sale that they spend on each transaction? Again, most folks don't know those numbers, but that gets you to what your revenue is. And again, most folks know what the revenue is. And then what's your profit margin, and that gets you to your profit. So, right, like I said, most folks know how many customers they have, what their revenue is, and what their profit is. And when I ask people what do they think is most important, it's usually one of those 3. But then I have to be the bearer of bad news that says none of those are important, because you can't increase any of those tomorrow. You can't just go out and get another customer tomorrow. You have to go out and market and sell people to get a customer. And so you have to have a marketing and sales process in place, and you have to be tracking your numbers to know how much activity you need to do in order to hit your results. Just on average, just implementing that formula that I just talked through, over a 12-month period, clients see an increase of 10% in each of those 5 areas, because what gets focused on gets improved. without even implementing any strategy. So just imagine that. Having a 10% increase of leads, a 10% increase of conversion rate, 10% increase of average dollar sale, a 10% increase in profit margin. We use a simple example when I go through this in my monthly seminars. The average increase of customers is 21% over a 12-month period, revenue of 46%, and profit of 61%, just by tracking that information. And so if you're not tracking your numbers, right, make sure that you are. If everything that I just talked through makes sense only at a 50,000 foot level and you'd like to learn more, that's included in that complimentary coaching session that I talked about earlier. So I'm going to the chat here, and Gutta says that her main frustration is about the PPP program. Applied for it in the very beginning and still haven't completed the process. So I can definitely appreciate how that can be frustrating. One question that I would have for you, Gutta, is who is it that you're working with? And the reason that I ask that is some banks have been much faster at helping push through those applications for their clients than others. And so if you're not getting the results that you were expecting, I know that there are still funds available, and I know that there are banks that are still offering to provide those services. So it may be something that you want to explore, potentially going to a different bank if you don't feel like you're getting the level of service that you would expect from your current bank. And if you need some recommendations, I'd be happy to connect you to a couple of bankers that I know. One in particular I was just talking to earlier this week. He had 100% conversion rate for all of the businesses that he helped get their PPP. And he worked with a number of clients, or a number of folks that weren't even clients of his bank. And back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, his whole perspective was he's just going to add value and do the right thing and not be worried about whether they're a client of the bank or not. There's some banks that would only help their clients and wouldn't help others. And so I think he's really going to, in the long term, is going to differentiate himself because he helped businesses that their own bank weren't able to help them. And so he's opened a door by providing value. The banks don't make a whole lot on the PPP, so it's not like it was a great profit generator for him or bonus generator, but he just did it because it was the right thing to do. So if you'd like me to connect you with him, I'd certainly be willing to do that. Any other frustrations or even just positive stories that folks would like to share as we get ready here to wrap up?
Just one last thought. It really is, I think, mostly in your head. And I don't know, positive attitude will feed your soul.
Absolutely. Yeah. I often talk about our formula for success, and that is B times do equals have. And I'm going to type this here in the chat just so you guys can see it. So B times do equals have. So we all want to have certain things out of life, and we've chosen our careers as a way to provide for those things. And so within our career, there's certain things that we need to do in order to be successful enough that the business can provide for the things that we want to have in life. The mistake most people make, though, in this formula is they only focus on the do. Well, I'm going to do more. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work longer. And what happens is we have a limited amount of time in a day. So there's only so much we physically can do. And if we try to push ourselves too hard, we'll hit burnout. Where the B comes in is, who am I becoming as a leader in order to work smarter instead of harder? Am I learning how to run a better business? Right? Am I learning how to have a more efficient and effective marketing and sales process? Right? Am I investing in myself to learn how to create systems and processes and procedures and best practices into my business so that I can hit that idea of leverage, right, or synergy, which is, 1 + 1 equals more than 2, right? Where I'm being more efficient and effective because I've got systems and processes and procedures in place, or I'm utilizing, other team members or outsourced opportunities so that I can do more than I could on my own, right? Am I investing in becoming a better leader so that I can coach, train, and mentor my staff to be able to work more efficiently and effectively and be able to accomplish more? Right? Am I learning how to inspire and motivate my team? So this formula, where most people focus 100% on the do, we suggest that the percentage is more like 80% on the be and 20% on the do. Or worst case scenario, 50-50. Right? So let's use a formula here. Let's imagine that that you're gonna invest in getting better at the do side of this formula. So I'm just going to put a math equation here. So let's say, your B stays the same at 1. You improve your do to 10 times more effective at doing the things that you're doing. So 1 times 10 equals 10. So you're 10 times better now because of all the efforts that you focused on doing things. Right? So your output, your have in life, is 10 times more. Well, let's instead think about, what if you took 5 of those 10 points, right, and put it into becoming a better version of you, right? So 5 times 5 equals 25. So by being a better version of yourself, you're using the same amount of hours in the week. So let's assume that 10 is 10 hours that you are investing in doing more. If you spend 5 of those hours on becoming a better version of yourself and 5 of those hours on doing more, the overall output, the have that you have, that you get, is 25 instead of 10. So just reflect on that and think about, what are you doing on a weekly basis to invest in being a better version of yourself?
Nice.
All right. Let me go through here just a couple of wrap-up slides that I cover each week, and then we'll end with our wiffle. Okay. So as I mentioned, complimentary coaching session. If you'd like to take advantage of that, please reach out to me. This applies to business owners and business development people. So don't think that if you're not a business owner, that you can't take advantage of this. I'm actually bringing on a business development person. Just became a client this week. So definitely the process is beneficial for non-owners as well. Next week, we are not having our webinar series because I'm actually running a Q3 planning session. Okay? So on Friday, June 5th from 9 to 3, it's a third quarter planning session. Right? We call it Growth Club. The intent of this is, think of Stephen Covey's Begin with the End in Mind. Right? If you don't have a plan, then you're just leaving your business results to hope. Okay? If you have goals without an action plan, again, right, it's just your goals are then really just become a dream. And so you'll walk out of this planning session with your goals for next quarter, the strategies that you need to implement to achieve your goals for next quarter, and detailed action plans by week of what needs to get done. Okay? What we find is folks who try to do this on their own usually get caught up in the normal day-to-day fires of their business, and it never gets done. So we found that the best practice is to force people to block the time on their calendar, commit to doing it, and then they come out of that session with a plan in place. And now it's easier for everybody to just focus on executing the plan. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, there's the registration information there, or you can just email me. Normally, this is a $395 program per quarter, but understanding everything that's going on in the economy right now, I'm offering this as a pay what you can, and scholarships are available. So if you can't afford to pay anything, that's okay. I just want to help you. So go ahead and take advantage of that. There is pre-work. So you're going to want to let me know as soon as possible if you want to take advantage of this, because there's probably about 5 to 8 hours of homework that's required on that you need to do before the session, so that you're coming into it well prepared to get the most out of the work session. So let me know if you want to email me if you want to take advantage of that, or just go ahead and register on the link there. If everything that I've been talking about is of an interest to you, but you're not ready for the complimentary coaching session, you just want to learn more about Action Coach and our methodologies and how we help people, please go ahead and register for one of my monthly 6 Steps to Building a Better Business webinar. And again, there's a link there at the bottom. So that I run them on the first Wednesday of the month, 9 to 10:30, or the third Tuesday, 5:30 to 7. So I've got one coming up next Wednesday. I talked about the interviews earlier, so if you'd like to be interviewed, please let me know. Both Guta's company as well as Cecilia have been interviewed so far, so thank you both for signing up for that. There's a link there also to just go ahead and book some time on my calendar, and we'll get that process underway. All right, so every week I end with this slide, and the reason I end with this slide is if you just simply, engaged in the conversation, you're going to walk away with a retention of about 7% of what we discussed today. If you took notes, that retention will go up to about 50%. And then if you fully participate, which includes what I'm about to talk through, that retention goes up to about 98%. So my ask of you, your homework, is to write down the 5 ideas that you got from today's conversation that you need to take advantage of in your business, that you need to take action on. And then make sure that you have some mechanism of holding yourself accountable, whether it's someone or technology that gives you a reminder on your calendar. Make sure that you don't just write it down and forget about it. That's the failure of most folks, is they've got the best intentions and then they don't follow through. Right? And so that's actually where our name comes from, Action Coach. Right? So, I could coach you all day long in terms of giving you tips and tricks and ideas of things that you need to implement. But if you're not willing to actually take action, then it's all for naught. So make sure that you're putting them in place. If you're interested in being part of these webinars in the future, let me know. And then we always close these out with a WIFL. So it's what I feel like expressing. So I'm going to go around and have everybody share, what do you feel like expressing today? And Gary, we'll start with you.
Great end of the week. Excited for I guess I'm excited for next week. And just appreciate you, Tim. And you and I are actually going through Indianapolis next Friday and then coming back through on Tuesday. And I know that would work to swing by and grab a coffee or something, but doesn't sound like next Friday would, but maybe Tuesday.
Yeah.
And anyway, we'd love to move this relationship further and see where we go. So exciting things happening.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing, Gary. Cecilia, what do you feel like expressing?
That I am learning so much as an inmate's mother. And I want to say, Tim, thank you for the interview. Thank you for teaching me even more things that I really knew nothing about. I've just been moving by faith, but you still have to learn. So thank you for everything. I would like to be a part of your scholarship, have a scholarship, because our funds are very low for June the 5th, as well as your complimentary coaching session. So thank you. I'm enjoying everything that you're doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your kind words. And if you wouldn't mind emailing me, that when I get off of here, the chat disappears and I end up forgetting.
Oh.
So just send me an email so that I don't forget to follow up on that.
Okay.
Wonderful. And Guta shared hers. Thank you so much. So my wiffle, what I feel like expressing is just gratitude for you guys. I get a lot of energy out of these conversations. Everything that I'm sharing in terms of teaching and tips and tricks are also things that I am reminding myself of and that I'm needing to apply in my business as well. So I appreciate your participation. I appreciate the sharing today. And I look forward to continuing to build each of our relationships. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone, and we'll be in touch soon.
Very good. Thank you, Tim.
Take care.